Oh my God, I did another. I did another one of those crazy calls, entrances where I forget to switch everything on. Um, and here you are. So pretend you haven't seen me. Check this out. Good morning, everyone. Stop shaking microphone. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to uh, Coffee and Headlines. Yes, this is what this is called. I was so busy trying to set up a poll for you guys to answer, and and I don't know that I can get back to the poll, but I'm so glad that you're here. The good thing is that we're here. That's what matters. This is Coffee and Headlines, our daily get together here on Facebook Live at 10:30 in the morning, where we talk about headlines and stories and sometimes opinions. And today we're going to have some about what's going on in Puerto Vallarta and how these things relate to our lives as Puerto Vallarta English speakers. Oh, I'm so glad to see you, Linda Vasquez, because today we're going to talk about you. And I'm so glad to see all the people that join us every day or most of the days. It's always great to see um, uh, familiar faces, including DM Van Pelt. Don't think for a second that we have forgotten about you. I hope life is good back in Vegas. Boom, beam, 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 beam. Lots of happy faces. I always want to do and I always want a do over. And I don't know if this relates to the show, Michael, or to the wonderful pad thai that I enjoyed yesterday. Oh my God. Yesterday afternoon, I decided to have a Sunday afternoon on Thursday because I work every day producing coffee and headlines. I don't really have a day off. But yesterday afternoon, it seemed like a good day to eat pad thai and bake some brownies. And that's all I remember. It was a it was a great day. I see a question from Claude looking for guidance for a dog trainer for our new rescue. Any suggestions, cluster? I know that Logan Miller, who's usually around for Coffee and Headlines, had one of his dogs, Chancla, work with a trainer. And I would suggest you connect with him, or I'll try to connect him with you. And if not, I hope that other people are going to have other suggestions. Sherry Cooper says, "Good morning and thank you for Audra McDonald video. She was amazing. If you didn't get a chance to see it, it's still in the Carnegie Hall Facebook page. It is such a gift to have the opportunity to hear a performer not only deliver a stunning production of something, but also to talk about her choice of materials, and it almost becomes like a master class on why she's singing what she's singing. And the things that she's singing right now have so much to do with the world that we live in, and how through song she's able to make a difference in our world. And it was just amazing. It was just amazing. And I know that I'm going to have to watch it more than once because there was just a lot to take in, both emotionally and intellectually. It was just great. Um, beam, 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 beam. Well, don't you all want to know about the brownies that I make? All I can say is I don't remember if they were special or not. Oh, good Lord. Today we have all kinds of fun things to look into. Oh, great. Thank you very much, Logan, for that. Please get in touch directly with Claude. I know that chancla is not an easy cookie, and I know that your dog trainer worked miracles with chancla. So anyhow, we have a lot of things to talk about today. There's more follow-up about pandemic permissions. There's interesting news about the fact that the Secretary of transportation and communications in Mexico has resigned, and there might be some implications that affect us here as Vallartenses. We also have some other leisurely news, and we have some commentary slash praise for an altruistic pursuit, a nonprofit here in Puerto Vallarta, and it's gonna be fun. So we might as well get started. I think we're on a roll, and off we go. Okay, for starters, we had shared a few days ago how permissions are starting to loosen up for venues that are event related, places where you can throw a party. And this article from Contalinea shares more details about what's going on. And I'm going to just very quickly go through some of these highlights. We looked at the risk factor chart the other day that all these venues are going to have to employ to determine how much or how little they can open or how many people they can have and so forth and so on. From this article, I gather that outdoor places for parties and events can start operating given the constraints given awarded by the government. Whereas all the enclosed places like hotel ballrooms and indoor places where parties can be had are going to have inspection from reglamentos in order to be able to work. It is also interesting to note that in this first stage of reopening, these types of venues will only be able to operate from Thursday to Sunday. There will be no additional hours granted, and live music will not be allowed. And for that matter, it says here that all their capacity has to be limited to 50%. And in a different document, we saw that these venues cannot have more than 150 people at a time. So, if you have a dance floor in your venue, it's going to be restricted to prevent people from gathering too much. Let's see. There were tables with desserts and places where different people can get up and serve themselves are not allowed. That would be buffets of any kind. So there you have it. I know that all these guidelines seem to be trickling down, you know, little by little, and this must be very frustrating for people that have these kinds of venues. But don't shoot the messenger. This is what we have. This I thought was really important to share, particularly if you are a business owner here in Puerto Vallarta. The authorities are alerting the community about possible fraud made by companies or people that will arrive at your business and say, hello, we're here to inspect your business. And it is important to mention this because there has already been a major theft reported at Plaza Caracol of a jewelry store in which some people said, well, we're here from the government, we're here to inspect and sanitize. And the poor jewelry owners were instructed to put all their jewelry in a bag and without noticing, the thieves took all the jewelry and walked away. So if you get someone coming into your business saying, we are here to inspect or to sanitize or do whatever, they must show an identity, an ID card showing that they represent the Secretaría de Salud, which is the health secretary, or the Secretaría de Trabajo y Previsión Social, which is the labor secretariat. Anybody that shows up in your business without, without the proper ID and a hologram in their ID is not the real deal. And any complaint and any questions can be answered at the phone number displayed at the bottom of this article. And there is a website in case you want to submit some kind of report. Moving right along. Yesterday, we commented on how Governor Enrique Alfaro talked to Davalos about securing the necessary budget to fix the lateral roads on our main avenue, Francisco Medina Asensio. What I had not realized, because I'm not going out anymore because this is the pandemic and nobody should be going out if unless they have to, is that there was a whole section by Telas Parisina. This would be right where the maritime terminal is, where um, an underground pipe, water pipe, collapsed because all the land around it, all the soil had just disappeared or eroded or whatever. And apparently there was like a cavern that formed itself that was like 4 or 5 meters long or wide. So, needless to say, all the pipes that were in this particular section of the lateral collapsed, and therefore the lateral collapsed. So, I was not aware of this. Now we know this is why it was so important for our mayor to secure some funding to be able to address this particular situation. I only hope that in the process of doing so, they will not only fix this particular part of the lateral road, but they will also address other areas such as by Plaza Genovesa, where when the rains come, there's usually a lot of flooding. It is nice to see that an increasing number of campaigns are being unveiled by the city for people to stay home and to wear a face mask. I mentioned yesterday that as we were starting our broadcast, a vehicle with a loudspeaker drove past my house, and they were making announcements to that effect. So, in this particular article from Noticias PV, we see a whole series of images that come from different places around the city where the city is now at least doing this work. We can only hope that this is something that is going to have a positive impact in our population. As I mentioned earlier, the Secretary of Communications and Transportation in Mexico, Javier Jimenez Espriu, quit his job. He renounced to the job, and he gave his resignation letter to President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador. This has to do with the fact, let me get my big face for a second so that I can explain a little bit of it. The relationship between Lopez Obrador and the Secretary of Transportation has been complicated because of large projects that have or had been authorized in the past administration. For example, the ginormous new airport in Mexico City. One of the first things that Lopez Obrador did when he started his term as president is he canceled the project because the project would have benefited a lot of private companies. And it's difficult to explain this in detail, but he canceled that project. And of course, that put him and the Secretary of Transportation in an odd place. President Lopez Obrador instead has been campaigning for and promoting his Maya Train project, which we've discussed briefly here at some point or another. And the Maya Train is supposed to bring a lot of prosperity to the Yucatan Peninsula and also provide a new touristic attraction to the area. And there have been detractors to the project, and there have been other people that have praised it. But the meat and potatoes between the Secretary of Transportation and Lopez Obrador has to do with the fact that even though it seems to be unconstitutional, Lopez Obrador wants to take control of our ports and our land borders away from the transportation secretary and give it to the Navy secretary, to the secretary of the Navy in Mexico. And in doing this, hope to have a tighter grip on drug corruption problems. Now, getting into why or not why this is unconstitutional is a complicated issue. We could go there if you tell me that this is interesting or important to you, but I thought I would give you a little bit of context as to how this might affect us. And the reason this might affect us is because one of the projects that he leaves behind is the conclusion of the high speed highway or the direct highway between Guadalajara and Puerto Vallarta. This is him visiting the region just at the end of last year, photographed with our governor Alfaro and our mayor Davalos. And of course, 2 days ago, when Alfaro and Davalos met in Guadalajara, our governor touched base on the fact that this highway would be completed soon, and this happened just 2 or 3 days before the secretary resigned to his position. Of course, when he was here at the end of the year, he said, "Oh, we're going to be finishing the highway before the end of the year," and of course, this never happened, and that is the slightly longer explanation as to why I think this is important. I thought you might be interested in knowing. Um, Let's see. Oh, this came from the World Health Organization, and I can probably find an article for this in English, but I thought the headline is important. Um, we are not going back to the old normal. In case you are among those people that is waiting for things to go back to normal, the World Health Organization has pretty much said, no, we're not going to go back to normal. And I apologize for being a little cynical when I say this, but the article goes on and talks about things that are happening in the world and how the world as we knew it 6 months ago is gone, and the more we move forward, we're going to have to continue um, learning about how to coexist with this new environment, with this new world, with this new uh, level of risk that we need to embrace, whether we like to or not. Um, Vallarta Opina touches on this murder that took place in Fluvial last week. It was a man from Guanajuato that was riding this vehicle, and apparently he got in a fight with two other vehicles, and the two other vehicles chased him, shot him, and then they ran away. Only a car has been secured. Sorry about the big commercial from the Sheraton. That's what happens for these websites. And apparently, this man was a well known businessman from Guanajuato. He worked in the construction industry, and his name was Joaquin Miguel Alba Bustamante. He was on vacation with his family to spend some days here. He was riding that interesting vehicle, and again, according to witnesses, he got into an argument while he was um, riding the car, and then he was accosted later on, and hopefully they will be able to find more details about this. And that's pretty much how much of the information has trickled down. Um, let's see. Vallarta Independiente reports on this guy, and I heard somebody shared news about this guy who lost his job at Liverpool because he is gay, apparently. And he has presented a denuncia or a complaint with the Human Rights Commission, and apparently he worked at Liverpool for 6 years, and through the years, somehow he found that the company was not happy about his lifestyle, and apparently his dismissal was not one in which the company delivered what they promised, which was a letter of recommendation. So hopefully this is something that will lead to a good ending for all involved. How sad to learn that in this day and age people get dismissed because of their sexual orientation. Of course, we don't know exactly if he was a good employee or a bad employee. We are only hearing his side of the story. But that's the thing. Hopefully, if hopefully Liverpool will come up and make a comment about this. This is a good moment to stop before a commentary. Let me take a quick look at your comments in case there's something important for us to address. Um, those are the sweetest words, Terry. Thank you very much. Um, do, 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 do. Um, Thank you very much, Renee. I appreciate this because. Oh, wait. Did I? Where are you? There you are. Thank you very much for your comment, Renee. You know, one of the things that I wanted to resolve with the poll that I wanted to share with you today, and maybe I'll just ask you out loud, is I know that COVID is important, but then there's also other bits of important information that have to do with the well-being of our destination and that you might want to be interested in learning more about. As we move forward through this new normal, I want to make sure that the balance of COVID related news and other important news that we share here at Coffee and Headlines is the balance that you want. So the poll that I was not able to throw on the screen had to do with whether the balance is good or whether you want to see more COVID news or you want to see more important news that are not COVID related. So if you care to share a comment with me, I would certainly appreciate it. Uh, Pam reports on a nightmare that it must be to cross that intersection. I can only imagine. Um, and this comment from Julie during a storm, her car floated. I believe that it is really crazy. If you haven't been here during the summer months, all of a sudden cars start floating. If you happen to, because you get to these parts of the road and you're like, oh shit, do I dare to go there, or do I not dare? And sometimes people go like, well, of course I dare. I have a good car. I just bought it this year. And all of a sudden your car starts floating away. Not fun when it is your own car and you are inside of it. Um, oh dear, I don't know about that. I still don't know how I feel about Thanksgiving, U.S. Thanksgiving. Um, Ginormous is an awesome word. Thank you very much. First time watching live from Illinois. Hello, Donna. I hope things are well in Virginia. Boom, bum, 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 bum. You must have looked at our pic on Facebook. Yes, we are over 60 and are staying in. My question is any forecast as to PV in season December? Who knows, Susie? It's I wish anybody had answers. I certainly don't uh, dare to have a forecast that far along because we still don't know how the virus is going to continue to behave. We still don't know what direction we're going to head into. We're all optimistic over the fact that we will not shut down again and that people will continue or will increase to behave responsibly. And one can only hope that this will be the case. Let me see what's next here. Okay, this is set up for if you have a question throughout the broadcast, started with a Q. Thank you very much, Terry. I forgot to say that. Does that mean they won't finish the highway? Asks Linda. We all certainly hope they will, but usually, unfortunately, whenever there's such big transitions in government, it can happen that large scale projects get interrupted. Let's hope that that's not the case. We've been waiting for that highway for a long time. Then again, is this a time in which we hope to get more mobility between one city and the other? I am not so sure. Um, to top fan. Thank you, Mr. Ojeda. I'm so hello, new virtual visitor, Michael Evans. It's great to meet you. It's great to see you. Bam, 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 bim, bam, bam. Good balance. Oh, good balance. Thank you very much. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the good balance. Thank you for all the feedback. Um, oh, Sherry, you miss the churros. You know, I miss being able to enjoy nasty tacos al pastor with abandon. I mean, now whenever I go to a questionable eatery, there is always something in the back of my head. and I don't know. I don't know. Going out and about with a certain sense of it's okay. That's what I miss the most. But we can all learn to be careful here and there and everywhere. I am done with the news. I want to offer some commentary. Uh, yes, commentary is what I want to talk about now. And I have to warn about potential feather ruffling. It's not intentional, it's just how I see it. So here we go. Yesterday during our broadcast, we had a nice little bit of poetry that arrived in the middle of the broadcast. And I am sure that there must have been something wrong with the internet because the first paragraph that Rob, I am sure, meant to send, in which he said good morning, good afternoon, or good night, I never received it. So I received this instead, and I was like, okay, we're not telepathic here. And then I addressed this privately, and I told him, I mean, we love to hear about these things, but we have a lot on our plate, and we don't necessarily know about things unless people share them with us and engage. And he was happy with my reply. The end. But then this came in from Linda Vasquez, and I want to take the time and read it out loud because there's so much wonderful stuff in this note that I got. I was wondering if you would do a shout out to the Vallarta Abuelos, a nonprofit in Cinco de Diciembre who was doing despensas and is now only providing formula for infants. Then she goes on, actually, we do whatever is needed to serve the community. I invite you to check out our Facebook page. It's pretty incredible. And finally, she says, most importantly, right now we're raising funds to purchase backpacks for the at-risk kids who can't afford them to go back to school, hopefully September. Linda Vasquez sent us this, and I was completely seduced. How can you not be seduced by such a wonderful invitation? I mean, I don't know if Linda is a professional writer or if she just sent this from her heart, but it was everything anyone would ever want to receive. Was I intrigued? Of course I was intrigued. Her message then went on to talk about more detail about what their programs are and what they're doing, so forth and so on. And the invitation was extended for us to go and visit the website that they have and the GoFundMe that they have and the Facebook page. And I will share those in a second. So I saw this and I was like, how could I say no? How could we not talk about this? And it is a very completely different approach to this. I mean, I want to learn more about this approach because maybe this is the new way to do things. Anyhow, after this whole thing happened, I received a very nice note from someone from the Vallarta Food Bank who said to me, well, we're sorry we haven't sent you anything. What can we send you, or what can we do, and so forth and so on. And I responded something along the lines of, you can send me information if you want, but more importantly, here at Coffee and Headlines, I'm sorry, I went ahead one. Here at Coffee and Headlines, it's more about joining the conversation than anything else. And I really mean that. I mean, what I appreciate about this community is that we're all engaging in conversation. For me, people that send information and walk away, or make a request and walk away, or tag you in a Facebook post and walk away, or send you a JPEG image without any explanation, are no different to those people that leave unsolicited advertisements on your windshield wiper while you're out shopping. They are no different than those people that bounce into your business and leave a bunch of flyers because that's okay. So it's more, in my book, about just sending out information. I mean, what I loved about Linda's remark was the clarity of intention, and she has that in common with Paul Christ and Sam Kress and now Vallarta Abuelos. And this is the reason why we have had the pleasure to discuss these particular charities. They have the following in common. And this is not to shade the Vallarta Food Bank. You know, if the shoe fits, then the shoe fits. But this is just the way yours truly sees it. And this is just the way we seem to be running it here at Coffee and Headlines. We discuss these altruistic projects because they have the following in common. Number one, they are polite. And I'm sorry, in my book, politeness goes a long way. And I really appreciate so much that most of you are, and I have a comment for you, Pam Thompson. Hold on just a second because we need to clear some shade here. So, in fact, let me stop right there. Pam Thompson, I invited you to come to my show on an interview. You invited me to go visit you and videotape you. Now, for me to go and videotape you, it is a time-consuming activity. So I have to balance the amount of time that it takes me to go and spend the day with you and then edit the interview and finish the interview and present the interview against the amount of time that it takes yours truly to put together everything else that is going on a daily basis. So I am going to politely decline your invitation to spend an entire day just focusing on one task because I think I owe the community at Coffee and Headlines a broader product on a single day. And I'm going to once again extend the invitation to you to come live on the show whenever you'd like. Moving right along. Politeness. All these three altruistic pursuits have taken the time to at least say good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Number two goes like this. They all have clarity of expectation. You know, Paul said to me, I need help promoting this. Sam Kress said to me, I need help promoting that. And Vallarta Abuelos did the same thing. You know, this is what we want to get from you. It's like when you walk into the into the grocery store. You know, I'm here to buy potatoes. You know, that's clear. If you walk into the grocery store and you say, "Well, I'm here to buy an automobile," you know, the store may say, "Well, we don't sell automobiles," and that's cool. You know, you learn something. But if you walk into the supermarket and somebody says, "What are you looking for?" and you just go like that, well, you know, there's no clarity in your expectation. Number three, passion and enthusiasm. I mean, when we get this letter from Vallarta Abuelos and she says something along the lines of, "It's really amazing." It's like in 3 words, I can tell that there is passion in what they are doing. Number 4, engagement. These are not pursuits that just came in and dumped their flyers and left. Paul is constantly following up. Paul is constantly engaging in conversation privately and publicly. Here, Paul is creating a narrative. Sam Kress, the same thing. Sam Kress, you didn't get to hear it, but she sent me a very sweet thank you note after we talked about her project. And she told me, and I was really happy to hear, that some people from our community went and got more involved with hers. And that is the kind of connection we're hoping to do. And Vallarta Abuelos, same thing. I'm sure that they will engage because they're paying attention and they will think twice just to dump the information and go away. I mean, come on, guys, we're having great conversations here. And last but not least, all these 3 pursuits have shown gratitude. And as I was saying before, they have followed up. So again, getting involved in what we're doing here at Coffee and Headlines is not a pass or fail situation. Other sources of information may have different guidelines, but this is what we're doing here, and this is how we're doing it here. Now, that said, I have to be completely honest with you. I am as fascinated by nonprofit organizations in Puerto Vallarta as I am fascinated by spending a day fishing or playing golf. I cannot stand either activity. You see, one of the problems with many nonprofits, and I'm not meaning to throw shade, is that the more you get involved with nonprofits in this town, you find that many have great intentions, but many fail at accountability. I've been involved in nonprofits that fired people in a dishonorable way. I have been involved in nonprofits that have disregarded their donors. I have been involved in nonprofits that acted responsibly when they fucked up. So again, I'm not saying that all nonprofits are evil, but I'm also not going to say that all nonprofits are wonderful. So, if we ever talk about a nonprofit or if we ever talk about a restaurant and there's something that we need to know, if you've had an adverse experience with Vallarta Abuelos, with Sam Crest, with Paul Christ, with the restaurants that we discuss, we need to hear about it as well because we all should be accountable. And when an organization for profit or for nonprofit refuses to be accountable, or they say things like, well, I would love to be and this is a real story. A nonprofit organization said to me, well, we would love to go to live on Coffee and Headlines, but, we would have to look at the format ahead of time. And to me, that sounded more like, well, there are some things that we're comfortable answering, and there are some things we're not comfortable answering. So, thanks, but no thanks. So, with all that said, let me just get off this this little adventure. Thank you for indulging me, and let me show you the wonderful website, the Facebook page that Vallarta Abuelos has, and I'm going to be sharing the link of all the things that they're doing, and you will have the opportunity to, of course, pursue it on your own. And they are doing this fundraiser on GoFundMe right now, which is the link that they sent us, and we are so very happy to pursue it and check it out and so forth and so on. So there you have it. That's my little bit on nonprofits. We love what you do. It is very important. We love to support where we can, but just as we love to support, we expect accountability. Let's take a look at the weather. Look, it's raining in Carrot weather. It's 26 degrees Celsius, 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity is 87%. It is humid right now. I love the comment from the weather app today. This app was originally called Weather App for Humans, but then a cat figured out how to open me with its snow, so I had to change the name. I don't know what cat they're talking about. Whenever I talk about the weather, as you know, Luna just jumps with enthusiasm, as can be clearly seen right now. That's my dear Luna, just sort of chilling, right, Luna? It's like, yeah, leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you right now. Anyhow, back to some leisurely headlines. And I'll go back and look at some of your comments in a second. While we're while we're staying at home, it's nice to know that the city has been working on cleaning out some of our beloved public sculptures. Look at the whales at Marina Vallarta entrance. They're cleaning them, they're polishing them, they're giving them the well-deserved look. And I believe, if I recall correctly, there are other photographs in this article from Noticias PV where they show us other pieces around Puerto Vallarta that are being restored or will be restored in the near future. How very nice. I have no idea where that is, but interesting. How very nice that the city is right now looking at how to best keep these sculptures in good condition because we like them so much. I have to share this headline with you because it made me chuckle. It comes from Vallarta Opina, and the headline says, "The sausage is here. There's a new direct fly between Puerto Vallarta and Toluca. Please add this to your bucket list." Those of us that live here in Mexico know that Toluca is this the capital of the state of Mexico, and Toluca is the capital of Mexican style chorizo or sausage. So now that TAR has opened all these regional airline flights to other cities, or to cities other than Guadalajara and Mexico City, it is nice because they allow us the opportunity to consider visiting other places. Again, this is not the time in which I would run over to hop on a plane and go somewhere. Um, but Toluca is a gorgeous city. It has a beautiful enclosed arboretum. No, it's not an arboretum. What am I? A botanical garden that is enclosed in a stained glass building that is truly a masterpiece. So if and when you want to spend a weekend in Toluca, this would be an easy way to get there. Totally unrelated, but I read on this article that, let me get back to the headline, that Disney delays Mulan indefinitely, pushes back Avatar sequels and a new Star Wars trilogy by a year. And what I find interesting about this article, that all the large movie studios are delaying the release of their movies, is that it goes completely in contrast with this other headline from PBS, in which movie theaters are begging the studios to do exactly the opposite, to actually release the movies, despite the fact that things are so complicated right now. We must remember that anything that has to do with a place where a lot of people sit down, such as a movie theater or a performance art space, are in desperate need to start working again. And of course, Hollywood has been pretty much frozen, and not only Hollywood, but movie productions throughout the world. Um, as always, we have 8 things to do this weekend coming from the New York Times, which is usually an eclectic list of things that we can consider doing. And before I show you my last choice of headline for you today, I want to very quickly take a look at some of your comments just to make sure that we are on the right track. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. Let's see. Oh, Molly Fisher. I have no idea where you are, but it is so nice to see you. I mean, folks, Molly Fisher, oh my God, what an angel to Puerto Vallarta's nonprofit and altruism world. Molly Fisher was involved with peace in Punta Mita, and peace animals, and peace love, and peace cupcakes, and all kinds of things that started with peace. And then she went somewhere else. And now I don't know what you're doing, Molly, but your ties to our destination will always remain present in my heart. And I'm sure the heart of a lot of people that know that you left behind a wonderful legacy. Um, yes, Linda's approach was awesome. I don't think I have the pleasure, but again, Linda left me watering for more. Um, this is good to know. Thank you very much, Dale, because again, again, it's great to hear the good stuff and the bad stuff. Oh, don't get me started on that, Logan. People that just send spam to the WhatsApp it's I find it so annoying and disrespectful. Um, I would be unaware of smaller initiatives. Well, you know what, Rita? I don't know that they're small or large. As I explained to the nice gentleman who shared his poetry with us yesterday about the food bank, I am sure that there are all kinds of wonderful pursuits, restaurants, activities, people, projects, ideas that are going on in Puerto Vallarta. But Puerto Vallarta and the Bay this enormous place. So it is very difficult to get to know them all. I consider myself grateful when I hear about the few things that I'm able to talk about. And I know that there's always something out there waiting to be discovered. So I can certainly appreciate where you're coming from. And yes, we've talked about beach crossers as well. Talk about another group of people that shared passion, enthusiasm, commitment, and follow up when we talked about them. Absolutely. Um, Thank you very much for that, Pam. I just want to make sure that we are both on the same page as far as this is concerned. There, I'll be honest with you. I hear about new stores that have opened. I want to go take my cameras to them. I hear about new restaurants, and of course, spending a day in the hospital actually does sound really fascinating. And it's not that I have specific concern about going into a hospital. In general, I have concern about being out as much or as little as anybody else. And the truth of the matter, for better or worse, is that, and this is not a complaint, it's a fact, putting together a daily coffee and headlines takes a lot more time than you can possibly imagine. I love doing it, but it does take away or involves a fair amount of time. Um, I will rethink again, Ellen, but this is, I have to respond to the wants and needs of this community. If a large majority of you write to me publicly or privately and tell me, dump everything else, we want to see a day at the hospital, I will do that because ultimately I respond to the needs of the many in this community. I would like to respond to the needs of the few, but sometimes it's difficult. Ultimately, I rely on your wonderful feedback. I rely on your interactivity and your engagement. Your engagement is golden to me. Um, Beam, 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 beam. Thank you very much. I felt the same thing, Gary. I appreciate that very much. Uh, Thank you for that, Sherry. And again, this is not necessarily about me, it's just about sharing things that make sense and keeping this community safe and healthy. This is absolutely important to me. Linda, you have nothing to thank me about. If anything, thank you for opening my eyes to something that I have read about here and there, and I look forward to learning much more about you. You are always welcome to engage here, and if you have any news or important information to share, this is tu casa, and you know that. Um, this is good to read about Vallarta Food Bank. Again, I don't mean to throw any shade on the Vallarta Food Bank. For all I know, they're absolutely wonderful, but we've yet to have a conversation with them. So if you're here, please tell us what you're doing. We don't bite. Well, sometimes we grumble, but we certainly don't bite. Bam, 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 bam. Toluca. Yes, absolutely, Terry. You have to definitely consider it. Molly is my hero too, Pam. I mean, I remember when they were here, they were such an inspiration to so many other people. And I'm so glad that there are other people doing little praise for Molly Fisher. So let that be nurturing for your day today, Molly. We love you and we miss you. Um, Thank you very much for that shout out. Not that one, this one. And this is probably a good day, I mean, a good time for us to wrap it up. And I want to leave you with something that I loved from the moment I first saw it. And this is a short film by Pixar, and it's called For the Birds. And I can't show it to you because, of course, it is on YouTube. And if I start playing things from YouTube, YouTube is going to get on my case. But if I can invite you to watch something today, it's this short by Pixar, because this short by Pixar speaks to entitlement, it speaks to people that are afraid to change, it speaks to people that are rude, and in the middle of this pandemic, it speaks to how we're reacting to um, safe distance and the pandemic. And in a way, it is the pandemic that is at centerpiece for this short, which was made quite a few years ago. And with that, I am going to hope that you're going to have a wonderful day today. I'm going to invite you to stay healthy, to stay safe, to stay kind, to stay in touch, to engage. And if you find something useful in this broadcast, please consider sharing a coffee, buying a coffee. Please consider becoming a member. We always appreciate your support in this community based project. Have a wonderful Friday. Have a great weekend. And I will talk to you soon. Oh, and before I forget, Sunday Fun Day will be the continuation of our conversation with a wonderful orchestra conductor and friend Miguel Almaguer. He is the musical director for Il Divo. Last time we tried to do this, technology beat us in the middle of a wonderful conversation. We're going to try to do this again this coming Sunday, and I'll send the invite to the broadcast shortly after today. Have a great afternoon.